Today, we will introduce you to a group of people who were raised by a group of wild animals. Whether they were dogs, cats, or chimpanzees, these children are real, and the animals that raised them are truly wild. This girl did not live in the forest among animals, but she was born in Russia and her family treated her like a pet. Therefore, experts said that the cats and dogs she needed and was raised among had a significant impact on her. While her parents neglected her, she began to imitate the animals around her. She ate food like cats, drank water with her tongue like dogs, and walked on all fours. Police were shocked upon finding her. In this condition, physically, Asasa looked as if she were 2 years old, even though she was 5. Natasha would bark and jump on people like a dog. She enjoyed playing dog games, such as chasing balls. The poor child, Bilo, was abandoned by his father in the forest in Nigeria when he was only a few months old. But later, a family of chimpanzees found him and adopted him, and they took care of him for no less than a year and a half. And when a group of hunters found him, they never expected what they saw, a boy living with chimpanzees. When the authorities rescued him, they said he walked exactly like the apes, and he moved and behaved just like them. Despite living with humans for years, he still acted like a chimpanzee. Sadly, the child died in 2005. The girl. Wolves. You may have heard of researchers living in the wild to study wolves, but what about children who were raised among wolves? There are instances of children raised by wolves, such as Dina Sanchar, known as the wolf girl. The wolf. One of the hunters found a boy walking with a wolf inside the forest. The hunter killed the wolf and took the boy to an orphanage, where he would tear his clothes and never learn to speak until his death. 30 years later, in the 70s, an Indian farmer found a boy playing with a group of wolves in the forest. The farmer took him, and he was named Shamdeo. He was distinguished by his long nails and sharp teeth, but he was able to communicate with humans until he died in 1985, the Cambodian jungle woman in 1989. A little girl named Roshan disappeared in the forest. No one saw or heard of her until 2007 when she was found in the forest while trying to steal food from a farmer. She was not able to speak any language and she crawled like animals. Some people believe that she might have been living with a tribe in the forest, but her way of life suggests that she was living with animals until 2010. The girl ran away to the forest again, and last year the police found her once more, naked and covered in mud inside the forest. Unfortunately, it turned out that she was not Roshan, but another girl named Tok, who went missing in 2006 and returned to Vietnam to live with her real father. The boy, and cats are known to be aloof creatures. It's hard to imagine that they could raise a human child. In Argentina, there was a recorded case of a young child who was raised by a group of cats. Someone was walking down the street and noticed a group of cats gathered together. The cats were sitting on top of a small child, trying to protect him so that no one could approach him. When the police arrived, they discovered that the boy was 1 year old and had gotten lost from his parents. The police said that the cats were bringing food to the child, cleaning him, and keeping him warm. Well, let's move on now to an important question. Do you know how many children run away from their parents every year in the United States? Marinat Shabman, when she was 4 years old, was kidnapped by some criminals. No one knows what happened, but later they abandoned her in the Colombian jungle, where she lived among a group of small monkeys. She stayed there for years, eating bananas and berries that the monkeys gave her. Over time, she lost the ability to communicate with humans and began to walk on all fours. Now she lives in England, and doctors confirm her story, but many people find it hard to believe. The Siberian dog boy, Andrei Dulstik, lived a very strange life. When he was just a month old, his parents abandoned him in Siberia. Several years later, a group of social workers approached him to ask why he wasn't going to school, but they noticed that he was alone and without any family. He lived alone, cared for only by a dog, until he reached the age of 7. And because he lived with a dog, he behaved like one. He moved on all fours, did not speak at all, and would sniff his food before eating it. And as soon as he returned to society, the boy showed much greater improvement compared to other children who had been raised by some animals. He learned to walk on his legs, eat using a spoon, and communicate and express himself well. He was raised among mountain goats in an extremely dangerous place, with bad weather conditions and predatory animals. Not many survive in those mountains. But there is the story of a little boy named Daniel, who was abandoned by his family when he was young and lived and was raised with goats in the Andes Mountains in Peru until he was found by other people. In the year 1990, he survived by drinking goat's milk, eating plants and berries. After spending 8 years with the goats, he started imitating their movements, even walking on all fours, and he couldn't speak any language, but he was able to communicate with the goats. A group of researchers in America studied his case, and they were the ones who gave him his name. Daniel, the mountain boy Marcos Patricia Vantuzia, lived alone in the 1960s in the mountains of southern Spain. His father sold him to a goat herder, and when that man died, Marcos was left alone. He watched the wolves and learned from them how to eat. After playing with a young wolf one day, he fell asleep. Upon waking, he found the mother wolf in front of him offering food instead of attacking. She raised him with the pack, and he stayed with them until he reached the age of 19. Then he was found and reintegrated into society, and now he has succeeded in becoming a normal person. Johncephonia. Scientists believe there is a missing link between humans and apes, and this has been depicted in many films. In fact, these films are not far from reality. When Johncephonia was young, the situation in his country, Uganda, was unstable. And when his mother passed away, he fled to the forest, where he lived among a group of monkeys who took care of him. They looked after him for 3 years and taught him how to eat. And when a group of people found him, he was 7 years old. They reintegrated him into society, he learned to speak, and he stopped behaving like a monkey. Well, do you know how many children run away from their parents every year in the United States? The answer is between 1.6 and 1.8 million dobas. Many of them return after a short period, but we wonder, do those who don't return live in the forests? Do you want to see more videos on our channel? We help you with that. Click on the bell icon and you'll be sure that all your friends are here. Then you'll get notifications about new releases. For more, subscribe to our channel to watch everything new and entertaining.